Good day, David here, and welcome to the evolution of everything. In this video, we are going to dive into the evolution of first-person shooter games. So reload your weapons, turn your safety on, and let's shoot into the first part of this video. What is a first-person shooter, or FPS for short? FPS is a video game genre centered around guns and other weapon-based combat in a first-person perspective. The player experiences the action through the eyes of the antagonist. Since the genre's inception, advanced 3D and pseudo-3D graphics have challenged hardware development, and multiplayer gaming has been integral. Now, the first-person shooter genre has been traced as far back as Maze War. Its development began in 1973. As the name suggests, the gameplay allowed players to wander around a maze, with the evolutionary capabilities of moving backwards and forwards, turning right or left in 90 degrees increments, and even peeking around corners through doorways. When a player sees another player, they can shoot at them and gain points, or lose them for being shot, aka being a noob. Although this was one of the earliest versions of a first-person shooter game, players found that some versions had a cheat mode where the player running the server could see the other player's position on the map, walk through walls as seen by other players, and even have a duck appear in the passage. So yes, the very first FPS game still had hackers who continue to ruin the game to this day. In 1974, a game called Spacesim, short for Space Simulation, was later released on the Plateau computer system. This was a 32-player 3D network computer game by Jim Bowery involving 4 planetary systems with up to 8 players per planetary system. Jim Bowery claims that it's the very first 3D multiplayer game and even offered a reward of $500 to anyone who could document an example of a multiplayer 3D virtual reality game prior to Spacesim. I wonder if that offer still stands. In Spacesim, players flew around in space and to each other, as they appeared in the revolutionary 3D wireframe spaceships. Running at the groundbreaking 1 frames per second, it was sure to amaze the generation at the time. Later, after more playful titles like Medi Maze in 1987, the genre took a more violent turn with the 1992 release of Wolfenstein 3D on the MS-DOS, which has been credited with creating the genre's basic archetype that subsequent titles were based upon. In this game, players assumes the role of an Allied spy, William Blaskowitz, during World War II as he escapes the Nazi German prison Castle Wolfenstein and carries out a series of crucial missions against the Nazis. Players traverses through each of the game's levels to find elevators to the next level or kill a final boss, finding Nazi soldiers, dogs and other enemies with knives, pistols and other guns. It's safe to say that this game is not for the faint-hearted, especially with their true-to-life visuals. Wolfenstein 3D was the second major release by ID Software, after the Commander Keen series of episodes. In the mid-1991, programmer John Carmack experimented with making fast 3D game engine by restricting the gameplay and viewpoint to the single plane, producing Hover Tank 3D and Catacomb 3D as prototypes. After the design session prompted the company shift from a family-friendly Keen to a more violent theme, programmer John Romero suggested remaking the 1981 stealth shooter Castle Wolfenstein as the fast-paced action game. He and designer Tom Hall designed the game, built on Carmack's engine to be fast and violent. Unlike other computer games on the market at the time, Wolfenstein 3D features artwork by Adrian Carmack and sound effects and music by Bobby Prince. The game was released through Apogee in 2 sets of 3 episodes under the shareware model. The first episode was released for free to drive interest in paying for the rest. Kinda like getting that free cheese sample at your local supermarket, which then hooked you into buying more, and then 10 years later you wonder why you're so fat. Moving on. Wolfenstein 3D was a critical and commercial success, winning numerous awards for giving free cheese samples. Winning numerous awards and selling over 200,000 copies by the end of 1993. It was widely regarded as having helped popularize the first-person genre and established the standard of fast-paced action and technical prowess for many subsequent games in the genre, as well as showcasing the viability of shareware publishing model at the time. Doom, which was later released, was one of the breakthrough games of the genre. This 1993 diaper-changing science fiction horror-themed first-person shooter game pioneered the now ever-popular first-person shooter genre. The original game was divided into 3 9-level episodes and was distributed via shareware and mail order. In Doom, player assumes the role as an unnamed space marine who became popularly known as Doom Guy. Who would have guessed, right? Fighting its way through hordes of invading demons from hell, it caught the attention of an estimated 15 to 20 million people who played the game within 2 years of its release. This game was so influential that for many years, the term Doom Clone was used to designate this genre. Jumping to 1998, Half-Life, along with its 2004 sequel Half-Life 2, where's Half-Life 3, was released. The game, which was developed by Valve, was unlike any other game at the time. It featured no cutscenes, players had interrupted control of Freeman, and the story is told through scripted sequences seen through his eyes. Half-Life received acclaim for its graphics, realistic gameplay, and seamless narrative. which allowed it to win over 50 Game of the Year awards and is often considered as one of the greatest games of all time. It influenced the first-person shooter genre for years after its release, which sold 8 million copies by 2004. It was later followed by the sequel Half-Life 2, and with many fans still awaiting the next release of Half-Life, it's hard to tell if they'll ever get it. In 1999, the Half-Life mod Counter-Strike was born, which gave us the nerds that buy pointless virtual skins to this day. Together with Doom, is perhaps one of the most influential shooters of this genre. Let's not forget GoldenEye 007, released in 1997, which created the landmark for home consoles. Based on a 1995 James Bond film, GoldenEye, it was released for the Nintendo 64 game console, and featured a single-player campaign in which player assumes the role of the British Secret Intelligence Service agent Johnny English. James Bond, as he fights to prevent a criminal syndicate from using a satellite weapon against London to cause a global financial meltdown. You know how it goes. Elite secret agent fights bad guys, save the world, gets their hot chick, rinse and repeat. The game included popular split-screen multiplayer mode in which support up to 4 players so that you can squint and cheat off each other's screen. How nice. The Halo series later heightened the console's commercial and critical appeal as a platform for first-person shooter titles. Released for the Xbox One, not the new Xbox One, but the original console, you get the point. The game is based on a military science first-person shooter game which was created by Bungie, and now managed and developed by 343 Industries. The series centers on an interstellar war between humanity and a theocratic alliance of aliens known as the Covenant. The central focus of the franchise builds off the experience of a badass Master Chief John 117, one of a group of super soldiers codenamed Spartans, and his artificial intelligence companion, Cortana, which is kinda like Siri, but not retarded. The game follows their journey as they battle the aliens and other weird creatures such as the Flood and the Forerunners in the galaxy, and on large megastructures called Halo Rings, which gave it the name Halo. The Halo Rings is a large ring-shaped, habitable super weapon that were created by the Forerunners to destroy the parasitic Flood. These rings, when activated, will destroy all sentient life in the galaxy, and it's up to the old Master Chief to save the day. In the 21st century, the first-person shooter is the most commercially viable game genre, and in 2016, shooters accounted for over 27% of all video game genres. Today, with the advancements of technology and graphic capabilities, popular first-person shooter games such as Battlefield, Call of Duty, or Crysis have never looked so good. With more FPS gaming titles due to come out in the future, adding more capabilities and visually pleasing eye candy, it'll be sure to melt your gaming system. So you can say thank you to such titles as Maze War, Spacem, Wolfenstein, Doom, Half-Life, GoldenEye, and Halo for helping pave the way for the first-person shooter genre that we have today. That's it for this video. Leave us a comment of your favorite FPS games and what evolution of everything video you would like to see next. And why not do us a favor by liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel for more content like this one, and share with your friends for your chance to win a free cheese sample from your local supermarket. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. We're not responsible if you happen to gain large amounts of weight due to eating a excessive amount of cheese. If you experience problems, please contact your local gym or go outside for a walk.